Okay, we're going to call the city council meeting to order, Monday, December 12th, 7 p.m. Roll call.
David Paradise.
Nicole Andrioff.
Avery.
Kirby Moyna.
Tom Marslick.
Sam Solars.
Jessica Bonniwell.
Sam Ketchum.
Dan Reamer.
Michael Sommerfeld.
We are not going to have an invocation today, so I'd ask you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Need approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Mr. Marslick.
Yes.
Mr. Solars. Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Further discussion? The one question I have on there, Michael, the Crosstown Mechanical, was that just for swapping out the two items in the kitchen, or was that for putting on a, maybe that's a Dan question, or was it putting on the adapter to make them easier to?
That was the two adapters, one for the fryer, one for the convection oven.
Okay, so then we'll just be able to swap them in and out from now on instead of?
Yes.
Perfect. That was the one question I had. Any other discussion? Mr. Solars.
Aye.
Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Truth and taxation public hearing. Michael, do you want to give a brief rundown beforehand?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, from pages 27 through 31, is the information regarding our levy increase and 2023 budget. The proposed budget for considered in the levy for next year is $1,762,857. It's an 18.2% increase over 2022. That's an increase of $271,612. That entire increase falls within the amount that it's increasing for the fire department budget. The way that the Wright County Tax Administration wants our fire department budget handled now, rather than all going through special assessments, is they want it through the levy. That's how all the other communities handle theirs. So no longer will residents have a special assessment for their fire service. That will all be coming through the levy. So that $345,150 is not an increase. It is a shift from special assessment to the levy. So you will see an increase on the levy for that line item. But then when it comes to your tax statement in the coming year, special assessments will not be on there for that, which would be $150 per parcel. With that increase, the estimated tax capacity for Montrose, and this has gone up drastically, is a 27.6% increase. So the evaluations, the assessment of homes have gone up by nearly 30%. And if anyone's gotten their proposed property tax statement for the next year, you're going to see that your home value is estimated at about a 25 to 30% increase. The tax rate for the city is dropping to 47.89. Again, the downward pressure on that is that the capacity is higher, the values of the homes are estimated higher, and then the upward pressure is shifting that piece of the budget over from special assessments to the levy. On page 29, the comparison of budget, these would be the comparisons of the budget if the fire department were included in the levy in prior years. This is the entire budget including that, and the budget is actually going down by, from 4.38 million to 4.23 million. So again, what we're seeing is a shift from assessments to levy So you're gonna see numbers going up, you're gonna see those savings when it comes to the special assessment. And a lot of these increases that you're gonna see nominally, the numbers you're gonna see going up are to do with home values skyrocketing due to demand.
Okay,
Do you want to address just the home value?
yeah, so, yeah, and that's what I was gonna do too. So, as far as the home value goes on your home, this body, the city of Montrose and the council, we have nothing to do with what your home value is. So as Michael had said, our tax rate is dropping, by almost 4%. But if your home value went up, which that has to do with the county assessor's office, and you can challenge your home value in April of next year, I believe, that's a question for them. This is more so questions about here and what our budget is and questions you have on that. If it's on your home value, which is why a lot of homes are being taxed more, is because your home value went up substantially. That is for the county and to bring up with them, not for the city. So, with that being said, I will make a motion to close the December 12th, 2022 City Council meeting at 7:06 PM and open the Truth and Taxation public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we are now in our public hearing, so if anybody has any questions or comments or concerns in regards to the truth and taxation for the city of Montrose, please step up to the mic now, state your name and address for the record, and we will do what we can to answer your questions.
Yes, my name is Richard Nordling. I live at 110 Buffalo Avenue South, Montrose. Just moved into town the last 6 weeks. I received, along with probably everybody in the room, estimated tax value. And I would just, understand the numbers you threw out, but I can't understand how you can, with any sense of responsibility, increase. Mine went up 27%, which is a ridiculous number. And I don't know if everyone in town was reassessed, or being I just purchased that property, I was reassessed. But to me anyway, 27% increase is absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know how it can be justified. Thank you.
Richard, if you'd like to stay up there one moment. I did want to address, I know we spoke at the front window as well. I just wanted to address while you're still standing there. We talked about how, and I should have mentioned this to the entire audience, the proposed taxes you get on the statement that you receive from the county, those are based on the preliminary budget that we put together, the preliminary levy that's passed back in September. So that is the maximum that we could levy for, and then we can alter it down from there, which we have. So even where it stands now, what you're seeing on there, if you're looking at a 27% increase, you are going to have a nominal tax increase. The rate for the city itself will go down, but the amount that it's going up will not be 27%. So it'll be closer to what I quoted, that 18.2%, because cuts were made from the budget, from the point of preliminary budget to the final budget that council is considering today. So just so there will be a lower rate than your raise that you were looking at.
Are there any laws, regulations, whatever, on the amount the property taxes can increase? Is there a ceiling?
Not to my knowledge, because what is affecting your taxes right now is the assessment of that property, the value. So the only pressure we can put on it is cutting the tax rate for the city. So which it's cutting down 4%, and we've cut out budget items to lower the rate here in the city, but we can't control the assessments If demand lowers for housing, then your property value could start plateauing or come down in the coming years, and then so would those taxes.
Yeah, a large part of what the increase is that people are seeing is the home values have gone up substantially. I mean, even from my personal experience, we added over the last 3 years, $70,000 in home value without doing anything to our property. Because the houses that sold around us all sold for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 more than what we had originally bought ours for. So that brings everybody's up unless you challenge the county and have them come and reassess it. Then they can check to see if their numbers were right, but that invites them into checking everything out, so.
Hello, council. I'm Julie Pilarski. I'm from 923 Aspen Lane. And I just had a question on the 41% increase for culture and recreation.
The increase, so that would fall under our park and rec budget. Some of the line items within the park and rec budget that are going up are shifting from the Regional Park Development Fund into the Park and Recreation Fund to do more park maintenance on the parks that we have. And part of that is also the increase in prices of the materials that go into maintaining those parks. The wood products that they're putting for wood chips, the mowing fuel for the mowers and fuel for the trucks for moving things around. So the upward pressures on many line items of the budget are going to be seen in fuel costs, materials costs, and freight. So what's going on there is more of a realignment from a development fund for the regional park into the parks that we have closer in town here, the rest of the park system.
So it's not adding any.
So the increase there is offset by a decrease in the regional park budget. More than offset.
Do we have any more questions or comments? Are there any more questions? Just one final time, are there any more questions on the truth and taxation? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to close the December 12th, 2022 Truth and Taxation public hearing at 7:13 PM and reopen the city council meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are back in our regular city council meeting. I will make a motion to pass resolution 2022-35, a resolution authorizing the year 2023 final property tax levy and budget.
I will second.
Further discussion? Are there any final questions for Michael on this? I'd like to just say that, Michael, I think you did a great job on this, your first year taking this over, and to have an almost 4% decrease in taxes in town. That's the amount of work that you put into this. I just, want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I agree. Thanks, Michael.
Second,
Yep.
Further discussion?
I just want to say that a 4% decrease is a pretty substantial amount, considering what Wright County's assessing. Anything that we can do to help ease the burden a little bit. And I think 4% is a pretty big number.
Hearing no other discussion, Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion passes 5-0. Wright County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of November, Wright County had 244 calls for service. 48 of those were traffic stops, which resulted in 6 traffic citations. We also had a total of 95 incident reports. We had 6 in-custody arrests. 3 were for domestic assault. 2 were for 5th-degree drug possession from a traffic stop. And then 1 was from a search warrant, which resulted in 1st-degree drugs. We also had a total of 21 snowbird or winter parking violations in the month of November. Just as a reminder, no parking on the city streets between November 1st and March 30th from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. With that being said, I don't have anything further. Is there any questions?
Off the top of your head, how many calls for service did you have in the previous month?
I don't recall. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, I should have thought of that earlier. I was just curious because it just seemed like a large number. But
And that could be from the November was when we can first generate incident report or a CFS for Snowbird, which is the winter parking. So that may be part of the increase.
makes sense. Yeah.
That would be my assumption.
Makes sense. Any other questions? No. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
for your time.
City Council.
Have city council meeting, the city council budget meeting, park and rec, fire department.
City council and the canvassing board meeting.
Council, canvas board meeting, special council meeting, meeting with a resident and a League of Minnesota Cities training on agendas.
Council meeting, Wright County Board of Commissioners meetings, canvassing meeting, and special council meeting.
Council meeting, special council meeting, and canvassing board.
Fire department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Included in your packet is the November 2022 activity report. It was a very busy month for us with 44 calls throughout the month. We did take 1 week off of training, which was kind of nice. We always do that in November for deer hunting because a lot of us are out of town for deer hunting opener and stuff. So any questions on the activity report? Next item is just an acknowledgement to Pep Island Food Truck. She came by and provided us dinner for our fire department meeting last Tuesday, free of charge to us. Normally our Relief Association buys dinner every meeting night, so our first Tuesday of the month she came by and donated her delicious food for us to try, and it was very good. So if she's ever out and about in the area, please stop by. Just kind of putting a little plug in for her. So next item is a new policy that has been drafted that I'd like your guys' approval. It's the creation of a lieutenant position within the fire department. Essentially what this is it's going to be a mentorship position where aspiring firefighters who wish to become captain or learn more about the administrative duties of the fire department will be mentored by a captain and the chiefs. Very minimal pay associated with the position, which will come up later in another policy change. But I'm looking for your approval for that policy in addition to our policy manual.
Well, I'd make a motion to go ahead and approve the creation of the lieutenant position.
I'll second.
Further discussion. Mr. Paradise.
I'll abstain.
Mr. Solars.
Aye.
Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 4-0-1.
The next item can just be done together, I believe, are just two changes to two policies. The first one is just some minor changes to the captain job description policy, which includes some of the lieutenant stuff that they're going to be mentoring them and educating them and supervising them. And then the other one is the wages and salary. Just to kind of note with that one, we've added the lieutenants. They'll be paid $500 each annually. A lot of their salary comes in the form of knowledge and experience. And then we did raise the officer salaries a little bit through emergency management and the fire department budget, just to kind of get those up with what our neighboring departments are at. And then we increased call pay from $10 per call to $12.50 per call, and training pay from $10 to $15. This will not go into effect until next year, so for the paychecks that'll be cut for this year's service, it'll still go off of the old rate of $10.10 and the old officer salaries. And then also it's the inclusion of the employee recognition program, which had been utilized 2 years prior through resolution. This is just embedding it into our policy.
Do you need a motion to approve the job description for the captain?
I don't know if it needs to be, if both of them can be together or if it should be separate.
We can do
Just
separate
do
ones.
separate then.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the changes to the job description for captain of the Montrose Fire Department.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
I will abstain.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I vote yes, motion passes 4-0-1.
I'll make a motion to go and approve policy 103, which is the increase in wage and salary indicated.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
I will abstain.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Andrioff?
I abstain.
Motion passes 3-0-2.
And that's all I got for you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin.
There was no planning and zoning meeting last month, so there are no updates or minutes. Park and Rec.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. We'd like to have the residents step forward that were identified for the Halloween decoration contest. Come up to the front, please. Stand right here, please.
That is pretty cool.
Can you identify yourself along with your address?
Jason over.
Shonda and Julie Freeman, our address is 323 Vindy Lane.
Okay.
Training guide Nafrio, 723 7th Street North.
Okay. So we had two runner-ups and we had a winner. So the first one of the runner-ups is the Albrights. Right. Jess.
That's your photo bomb.
Next runner-up is the Freemans.
Awesome.
The winner is.
How do you say your name?
The
D'Onofrios. What were your first names?
Thank you.
We thank you all for participating, decorating your residence. It was a pleasure to run around and take photos.
Congrats, guys.
I said we really appreciate your helping out the community and so people get to see your decorated homes. There's some really great decorations out there. I think we ended up, how many? Oh my gosh. It was like 50 something we stopped at residents and stuff. I know that we probably talked to a few of you. That was kind of weird.
We definitely remember all three of your houses.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, thank you. Mayor and council, the park rec and trail plan is the first thing I want to discuss tonight. Is all the parks have been visited. Identified deficiencies will be prioritized, and we should have the park and rec trail plan amended as far as the parks are concerned, January. For the final document, maybe February or March. The other piece of that puzzle is that there's data in the park and rec and trail plan that we're probably going to need some help with as far as like number of parks based upon the population, that type of thing. So that's the only piece that'll be the last piece of the puzzle on that one.
Are you going to compare that to other cities of similar size, or
Yes.
just?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The Park and Rec will establish short-term and the long-term deficiencies. So if funds have to be allocated, we can come back to the council and you can decide on how you want to proceed at each park. Community, we reviewed the Park and Rec bylaws. We found that to be a sound document. We reviewed the community garden bylaws. We found that to be a sound document also, just with a few minor sentences that needed to be reworded. We discussed the rates based off of last year's water usage. The city basically they collected $20 per plot. I think the water usage for 2022 was something like almost $400. So there was a loss there to the city. So the commission discussed in detail about raising the rates to $40. So we'd like to recommend to the council is we would like to have the council take a look at raising the rates to $40. We had talked about 50, but just didn't want to raise it so high it would discourage people to participate out there in the gardens. So we just felt that $40 was a fair amount to raise it. That according to what I'm hearing in the pipeline is that those rates haven't been raised in quite some time. So I think it's probably I know it's double the amount, but the Park and Rec Board didn't want to have to come back to the city council in next year or something to say, hey. So we just figured, raise it again. So we decided just to raise it, suggest that we raise it to $40. The holiday decorations for Christmas, we're going to be out on Thursday, the 12th, and we're going to meet at the community center. And then it was announced on it was announced on the community Facebook page and the city.
Did you mean the 15th?
Huh?
Did you mean the 15th?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm like, today's the.
I just don't have my game plan on today.
You gotta get out there.
Quick question for you, Dwayne. As far as the rates go per plot, I know that it was mentioned in the meeting, at least when I had watched it, about the possibility of adding separate rates for people who do not live within Montrose. Is that something that you guys are going to look at going forward, or
We had discussed it, and I think we're going to discuss a little bit more in January, but I know it's something we had discussed. The park, moving forward, I think the first quarter, some of the things we'd like to do is identify our priorities and our goals for 2023, not only as a commission, but also what the city council would want us to take a look at. We just about have just about reviewed every bylaw or policy or procedure, I think, as far as Park and Rec is concerned. I think that the main one was the Park and Rec trail plan to get that done, so I think we've done a pretty good job with that. The Park and Rec Commission also reviewed the new applicant, and we recommended that the city council take a look at that and approve the applicant. He has some pretty impressive credentials. And the last thing, we have a commissioner that's kind of moving on because she is going to be joining the city council. But I want to thank Michelle for working with us this past, I think since May. She brought in a ton of knowledge and a wealth of experience that helped guided not only me, but the rest of the commission members. So just want to take a moment and say, thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. Any further questions from the city council, mayor?
Not for me.
Thanks,
All right.
Dwayne.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Dwayne.
New commission member application, Josh Swanson.
Well, based on what I see, I'd recommend bringing Josh Swanson on to Park and Rec.
I'll second that.
It wasn't necessarily a motion.
Oh, I guess it's closed. It looks good.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept Josh Swanson's application to join Park and Rec.
I'll second.
Oh, I'll second, no.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Josh, if you're out there or watching later on. City engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First item on the agenda is approval of the 2021 Downtown Improvement Project Phase 1 Pay Application Number 9. Is in the amount of $214,896.94 to Keekly Underground. That is covers most of the items to date. Major things remaining next year that would be paid would be the wear course, which is the last lift of pavement, as well as the seeding. So my recommendation to approve that pay application.
Well, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve pay application number 9.
I will second.
Further discussion? And so as soon as it's thawed out in the spring, they'll be back number 1 on the priority list to come back, or?
As far as the seeding goes, yeah, I mean, as soon as the weather cooperates and it's dry enough for them to finish that off and do the seeding, they will be in here to do that. That is correct. As far as the pavement goes, they'll need to wait until load restrictions are off, more than likely, and the bituminous plants are firing up. So that'll be a little bit later. Typically, that ends up being end of May or early June.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to get pushed back, and then we have to wait and wait and wait, so.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on pay application number 9? Hearing none. I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And the next item on the agenda would be approval of pay application number 7 for the Phase 2 portion of the project. That is in the amount of $71,054.87 to Northdale Construction. And that pretty much includes payment for the entire project, less the final lift of pavement in the project area, as well as the overlay going west along First Street, and some catch basin repairs along First Street as well. Other than, miscellaneous odds and ends here and there that need to be finished up, so. My recommendation to approve that pay application.
I'll make a motion to approve Downtown Improvement Project Phase 2 pay application number 7.
Second.
Further discussion? Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion passes 5-0. Regional Park?
Yeah, next item on the agenda, page 63 of the packet, is a memo from myself regarding the regional park. To recap, we took the additional soil borings out at the regional park as was approved by council and recommended by the park board. The park board's preferred alternative location, first, they picked out a couple of alternative locations, and that's what we based the soil boring samples on. Their first preferred location was directly east of the original location, which was kind of in the tennis court area, still remaining on the west side of Arapahoe Lane. The soil boring results in that location did come back favorable. There is approximately 9 feet of fill that was placed there. It is the recommendation of the geotechnical engineer that that fill be excavated when the park shelter is constructed as part of the construction, that be excavated and just recompacted in place to make sure that there's no settlement, not knowing exactly how it's compacted in that specific spot. That's basically their standard recommendation for any fill that's been placed on any project. I did speak with a local contractor, and his rough guesstimate was less than $20,000 to do that. As you recall, we were looking at the alternative or the original location further to the west, had some very wet soils and some high organic content in that area. We were estimating probably upwards of $65,000 to do soil corrections in there. So it is a significant cost savings to move the shelter to the east to this location rather than keep it where it was originally planned. As far as the soils in that location, it does overall look like it's favorable soil. If there is any organic that is found while excavating, they would just replace it with like material in that, right adjacent to that area. There appears like there's plenty of good, adequate clay soils in that area to utilize. So there would not be any import of material required into the site or anything of that nature. So with that, I guess I believe the park board discussed it. I don't know if they discussed it or received the report anyway, based on their previous discussion of that being the preferred alternative location or their first preferred compared to where the original location was. It'd be our recommendation, if you wanted to move forward, that you direct us to move forward with design in that location. And page 64 of your packet has that location shown. You can see it is in the area of the tennis courts, kind of, the idea would be it would probably be tucked up somewhat close to the sidewalk there, adjacent to the roadway. Still have some opportunities, some room for future tennis courts in that area. If you did want to proceed with the final design at that location, we would lay that out a little bit more in detail about exactly how that's all going to fit in there with the tennis courts, reconfigure those so that we could plan for those in the future, and just lay that all out. But that would be the next step if that's something you wanted to proceed with.
I guess the one thing that I would like to see is I would like to see the regional park plan, I guess, as a whole, go back to Park and Rec and kind of revisit. I know that a lot of this is based off of a survey that was done 10 years ago, maybe. I think it's good that we have the soil boring samples out there so we know what can go where. But I think that we may need to relook at this because what is the realistic need for putting in, a brand new full-size baseball field that's going to cost north of $1 million with lights, or a brand new softball field, that's going to cost probably $750,000 to $800,000 when we need to make repairs at Carver Field that's been there for generations, I'll say. But I guess I would just kind of like to see a new plan of attack for what we want the regional park to look like, as well as, you know, I think some of this stuff needs to be put on hold until we can solve some of the problems as far as wastewater treatment plant or water treatment plant goes, but that's just my thought. But I would just like to see a new concept in general, and maybe that's something next year that the Park and Rec Board Commission can kind of look at doing.
Yeah, I
Are
agree
you
with
thinking
you.
about the shelter in that too, or just?
I just, the whole concept of the park and the regional park out there is kind of my thought. You know, like I said, when you've got two items in a baseball and a softball field, and that's not even including concession stand, that you're looking at close to $2 million for those items, when could we get those even realistically? I mean, that's, at that point, it's a want. Do we need a baseball field and a new softball field? But that's my thought on it. I think that's just as a whole of re-looking at that whole area.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I agree too.
Mayor and Council, just one more thing for you to consider as you discuss it. It would be the grant. As you recall, that is a $250,000 grant. Original deadline to complete the improvements was June, I believe, of 2023. They have given me a verbal indication that they could extend that up to 1 year, but I don't believe it would be any more than that. So just as you discuss that and contemplate where you want to go with this, they have said that they wouldn't even give us a formal letter to extend. They want to see the city keeping on moving forward. They don't, they don't want another delay. So, if it's something you want to just maybe forgo the grant for right now, that's certainly an option. But if you do want to keep the grant, we probably need to move pretty quickly.
Michael, how much was in the fund for the regional park development at the end of this year?
Mayor, I would have to check the books again, but I recall the discussions revolving around if we were to keep the funding at the same rate this coming year as we did last year, we would have access to the $250,000 to $300,000 plus the grant, so just over $500,000 if it were to be acted on, but the budget has shifted since then, so it would be less.
And then we were looking at, on top of that, it was what, 700, 750? Was that the estimate that was given?
900.
I believe it was in that $700,000 to $800,000 range was the total project cost for the shelter. Yes.
I mean, it would be less now too with the soil moving, but can that be something that we get the numbers on that and how much we would need to kick out to pay for that, and then send that to Park and Rec for January to discuss what they would like to do with the shelter and their thoughts?
Yes.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's table the discussion for that until next month. Any other updates, Justin?
I have no other updates, Mayor, Council, unless you have any questions for me.
Questions for Justin? Okay, Public Works. Thanks,
Mayor,
Justin.
Council, I have no updates. If you have any questions, I'll take them.
Questions for Dan?
Just thanks to you and your guys for getting all the lights up. Looks great.
Thanks.
I think it was a good job you guys did at the plowing the last time, so.
Yeah, my street crew is very, very good, especially the lead guy. He's really good.
you want to stand up and take a bow over there? Okay, on to old business, preserve housing development request for proposal.
Mayor and council, myself, as well as the planner and the legal team have been working on just an update of an old request for proposal for this housing development. So we have updated that. The tentative date we put on that, the planner recommended 90 days for developers to get items into us. So the tentative date is March 31st, 2023, if you guys are okay with that, and we can get that published if you approve that tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll be good to get some thoughts from developers to go out and seek them to come in and develop that land, and it's just, the city's just sitting on it right now, so.
Yeah, I definitely need to see some kind of movement out there.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal for request for the Preserve Housing Development RFP.
I'll second.
Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Cost sharing for Creekside Hollow, creek crossing.
Mayor and council, in November, the preliminary plat for the Creekside Hollow development was approved by you guys. The developer would like an answer on one of the requests that they made, which was that the city share the cost for the crossing at the creek. 2/3, the city would pay 2/3 and the developer would pay 1/3, and that is their request. And so we need to make a decision about that this evening so they can move forward.
I mean, my thoughts are that we were cutting back on funding for the regional park because we want to save the taxpayers money that we're not using right now. I don't think that going out and spending $200, $300 some $1,000s, whatever it was going to add up to be, for a bridge in a development, I don't think that that's good use of taxpayer funds, but.
I agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can certainly set precedent here by, funding infrastructure development for developers. And I think if we do something like this, it'll be a mistake long-term.
I mean, we could offer the low interest loan out of the EDA development fund, but I think that would be about it. I don't want to start seeing every developer come into town and ask for help pay for this or that, or, I don't know what the next thing would be, but.
Yeah, I like the idea of, offering a low cost loan out of the EDA. I don't think we should have to pay for it. I think you're gonna set a precedence. This city in the past has made some bad deals and kind of get the same vibe off of this one.
Sure.
Just a quick question. I understand that property, that proposed plat has already, I know it's been approved, but it hasn't already been counted into the water. I think that's my concern, just as a citizen, is that if we start, there are other communities that I have lived in where we have actually charged them to put in their own water system and water treatment and everything else, rather than us paying them to do part of what they want to do. So I agree 100% with don't set a precedent of paying for anything for a contractor to come in. If they don't have the funds to do it, they don't have the funds to do it. And they knew that when they purchased the property and proposed the plat.
I'll make a motion to deny the request for cost sharing on the Creekside Hollow Creek crossing. Further discussion? Paradise.
Aye.
Solars. Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 to deny the request. Pheasant Hills backyard drainage.
Mayor and council, you had this item tabled at the last meeting so that staff could do some digging to see if we could find any historical documentation about this project that was done, and we did find some stuff. The original project was done and approved by council back in September of 2007. There is limited information. We have kind of the packet information that was there and the report that was done by Bolton and Mank, and the approximate amount of money that was spent on this looks like about $8,000. The original project was done as part of a stormwater expansion improvement. And
Yeah.
I don't know, what are everyone's thoughts on this?
Well, my input, I don't think the city should have got involved the first time. So why make a second mistake?
I agree, but at the same time, we have to right the wrong, per se. I mean, it is something that was approved, didn't take care of the issue, I think.
Yeah, I think they cleared an issue for part of it, but just caused another issue out of the ordeal, is what happened, is what I look at.
Right.
And it's to no fault of the homeowners that are currently there.
One of the things in the previous one that they did is that the city had agreed to excavate, install, and backfill the drain tile line. Any other grading outside of that was done by the residents.
yeah, all of the grading, any landscaping, planting seeds, any replanting of flowers or whatever they had in their yard was done by the residents.
Would this require an easement?
Mayor, members of the council, my understanding is there would need to be some kind of agreement to at least access the 9 backyards. So my assumption is that that would come in the form of some kind of easement, and that would be required if the council was going to move forward and accept the bid that was proposed at the November meeting.
Would that be like a temporary easement, or?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay, otherwise we wouldn't need an easement for forever back there, so.
Mayor, council, I'd probably recommend if it was the drain tile that was put in based on the proposed, that be located within an easement, being it is crossing properties and serving multiple properties. If that's the solution and what's installed, it would be my recommendation to put that in an easement.
With just doing the excavating, install, and backfill the drain tile, would that cut down on any of the costs?
I believe it would. There was some cost in there for seeding. Or, yeah, it was
78, 79, 77.
Yeah, there we go. So there's a seed with blanket, looks like we're at about $1,600. So,
Yeah, I mean, because in this, the original one that was done, it had the homeowners responsible for, restoring their yards with either sod or seeding, and that the city wasn't responsible for it. So I would want to mirror that if
That
we
was
were to
part
approve
of an
this.
agreement too.
Yeah, yeah, so we would have to call those 9 property owners in at some point for a meeting.
Yeah, if you approve one of these quotes, we would have to contact all the property owners and meet with them to see if they want this project done. I think we've only heard from 1 or 2, so.
I agree with Sam that, and with Tom, that we shouldn't necessarily be involved in all these things, but to go back and correct something that 15 years ago, they didn't necessarily finish the whole project or created another issue. It's unfortunate, but
It is what it is.
okay, how do you want this motion to be worded? Obviously, be contingent on an agreement with the city.
And then. And also which quote, obviously, you want to go with.
Well, not the $74,000 quote.
the question would be, do you want to have the optional drain tile install, which is the $13,417, that includes the drain tile?
Yeah, I think we would have to go with the drain tile, because otherwise it's not gonna fix the issue. Sam, how would you want that worded?
How'd that say?
Yeah, you're not the lawyer, sorry.
Thank God for that. Mayor, members of the council, so my understanding is the second, the $74,000 bid is the one with the drain tile. Is that correct, Justin?
No, both include the drain tile.
So, Mayor, members of the council, if the council wants to make a motion, I would recommend doing so, adopting one of the bids, and make sure to include the drain tile in either bid, and then also make it contingent on city staff entering into negotiations with the property owners to figure out the access and the required rights to just complete the project.
Well, I would think this would be a moot point until we contact the rest of the homeowners out there.
Do we table until we?
Well, I agree, I mean, if we accept the bid, then,
If we accept the bid, I mean, if we accept the bid and then end up, the property owners don't want it done, I mean, are we locked into this bid?
Yeah, I mean, potentially there could be costs if they order materials and you end up going back, that you'd be responsible for at least material costs. Yes, that's a possibility.
Is this, okay. Could we wait to notify Stone's Edge until after the property owners are contacted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
okay, so then, I'll make a motion to direct staff to contact the 9 property owners involved in this and, seek information to enter into an agreement, for the backyard drainage improvements. Does that make sense?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Solars.
Aye.
Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
Vote aye. Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. New business.
Mayor and council, the next four items on the agenda are resolutions to increase different water, sewer, and stormwater rates. The first two are water access and sewer access charges. These are increased every year by $100 each. The following two are items that were negotiated as part of the budget work and paying for water and, or the bond for the downtown improvement project. So it'll be a water system base increase and a tier rate increase for the water. And for the stormwater, it'll be an increase in the monthly rate.
Okay, I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2022-36, resolution increasing the water access charge.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I just want to add, just for more clarification, we were looking at what, $43,000 deficit of what we needed to cover with the bonds and stuff?
For, within the water fund, it was just under $28,000 or $29,000, and the deficit in the storm drainage was $49,000 and change.
And the money for water rates, we can only pay those off with that, not with any other fund, correct?
Correct. All the enterprise funds, the water, sewer, wastewater, storm sewer, all of those can only be paid through the funds, the revenues generated from the rates. So those can't be touched by the levy.
Those are the second two. The first ones are just for new buildings to access the city water and sewer. Further discussion on the first resolution? Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Mr. Solars. Aye. Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2022-37 to approve the sewer access charge.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Mr. Solars.
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff.
Aye.
Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Mr. Marslick.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. So on this one, I know that there's some back and forth discussion on some of that, but I'm really wondering if it would be better to just increase the base rate versus that and the tiers. I know that would really complicate passing all this stuff right now, but I think with a base rate, you know exactly what is going to be added to your bill each month, which would be $1.70 or so versus the 25 cents, the different tiers. It could add up differently, but I know that others had different discussions with Michael on this.
So if we were to look at increasing, to covering the water fund with just a unit rate increase, or without the unit increase, just the base rate increase, that increase, which is currently proposed to go from $5.10 to $6, would be going from $5.10 to closer to $8, maybe $7.80 or $7.90. Without the tiers. The page in your packet, 93, shows the current proposal, which would be a unit rate and the base rate, showing that with those considerations, under the different usages, 5,000, 9,000, 13,000, which would be a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 usage, those rates going up by $5, $6, or $7 based on that many gallons usage. So I guess the change would be that each tier usage wouldn't go up as much tier-wise, but all of them would go up. So tier 1 would go up a little higher than that 490, and the higher usage tiers would go up less.
I'm just bringing it out there for discussion. That's where I sit on it.
Are you suggesting not to increase the tier rate? Because both of them were at $6 base rate, and tier 1 was $6 increase. And then the storm sewer went up $7.75 base rate.
Yeah, I mean, that was what my idea was, is that, so you said it'd be about $2.70 then to the base rate? Is that about right? Somewhere in there? I said
So
$1.70.
currently it would be a 90-cent, it would be right, $2.70 or $2.72.80 if my memory
Yeah,
serves
so
me
my
correctly.
$1.70 before was not correct, but, I feel like, in my mind, $2.70 every month, you know that that's coming out versus what the change could be for more water usage.
I know in the recent 2 years since I've been here, there's been high peak usage in the summer, which would be expected. I know we've had to, we've gotten feedback from the DNR to cut water usage rates. One year we did have to put a moratorium on watering, and I think it was close this year as well. So, I guess the pros and cons of a unit rate increase versus all base rate increase would be the higher tier users are gonna be the ones that are paying that higher usage. So it may discourage, the high usage rates that we're seeing and potentially keep us from having a moratorium on watering or water usage. Though it would be, yes, we wouldn't be able to know for certain what our receipts would be on water because we don't know what the overall usage is. We just have estimates based on this year.
Is there any further discussion or a motion?
Kind of conflicted. I don't know, there's got some stuff coming down that we're gonna have to, at some point, these rates are gonna have to be increased, unfortunately.
The next rate increase will just be larger then,
Right.
if we don't increase it now.
Is there further discussion or a motion?
Well, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2022-38 as stated, raising the base rate from $5.10 to $6, and then tier 1 $6, and tier 2 $6.60, tier 3 $7.26.
I second that.
Further discussion?
So I did have Michael run my two highest bills over the past 2 years, and I saw an increase of roughly $9. One of them was in the tier 3 category. Can't believe I used that much water. but I just think, like Tom said, I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to raise them, and if we look at it next year, it's gonna have to be a bigger rate increase. I still think we are one of the lowest rates.
Comparable to Delano
Comparable.
and Watertown, yeah.
Yep. You know, I know Buffalo's raising theirs, Cocato's raising theirs. You know, I hate the thought of doing it, but unfortunately, it's something that needs to be done.
Well, personally, if we do it nominally like this, an increase rather than just a big jump, you know, we're trying to, like we talked about with the taxation, we're trying to keep the burden lower. And I think showing that, you know, we understand that there are gonna be things down the road, but hopefully property values come back to earth here. We can limit the amount of money coming out of people's pockets month after month.
Any other discussion? Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote no. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Stormwater monthly fee.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-39, increase the stormwater monthly rate to $775.
I will second.
Further discussion? And that's just the monthly fee. It's not based on any usage. It's just that is the monthly fee, period, flat, so. Any other discussion? I'll vote aye. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. A proclamation here. This proclamation is supported by the Wright County Sheriff's Office and will be signed by the Wright County Sheriff himself as well. Whereas the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to secure to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." And whereas the United States Supreme Court in District of Columbia versus Heller affirmed an individual's right to possess firearms unconnected with service in a militia for traditionally lawful purposes such as self-defense within the home. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in McDonald versus Chicago affirmed that the right of an individual to keep and bear arms as protected under the Second Amendment is incorporated by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment against the states. And whereas the City Council of Montrose, Minnesota is against any legislation that has or may be introduced in the Minnesota legislature and certain legislation which has or may be introduced in the United States Congress could have the effect of infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms, as guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. And whereas the City Council of Montrose, Minnesota is concerned about the passage of any legislation containing language that could be interpreted as infringing on the rights of the citizens of Montrose, Minnesota to keep and bear arms. And whereas the criminal misuse of firearms is not a reason to infringe the rights of law-abiding citizens of Montrose, Minnesota. And whereas the City Council of Montrose, Minnesota wishes to express its deep commitment to the rights of all citizens of Montrose to keep and bear arms, except those prohibited by current law. And whereas the City Council of Montrose, Minnesota wishes to express opposition to any law that would unconstitutionally restrict the rights of citizens of Montrose to keep and bear arms. Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Montrose, Minnesota, that the City Council of Montrose, Minnesota, in conjunction with the Wright County Sheriff's Office, hereby declares Montrose, Minnesota as a Second Amendment dedicated city, and the city council wishes to express its intent to stand as a city dedicated to Second Amendment rights and to oppose within the limits of the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota any efforts to unconstitutionally restrict such rights. And we will use legal means at its disposal to protect the rights of the citizens of Montrose to keep and bear arms. And that the city council will refuse to directly appropriate any city of Montrose resources to enforce any mandate, law, policy, or any directive which unconstitutionally infringes on the rights of the law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. And the city council hereby expresses its intent to uphold the Second Amendment rights of the citizens of Montrose, Minnesota. And that the city council hereby declares its intent to oppose any unconstitutional infringement of the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. Proclaimed by the council this 12th day of December 2022. One more public hearing. So I will make a motion to close the December 12th, 2022 City Council meeting at 8:15 PM and open the public hearing for the petition for annexation.
I will second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in a public hearing. Do we have any information before we take comments?
The only information we really have, the city has received an annexation request from LGI Home to annex 2 parcels from Woodland Township into the city of Montrose for a potential future development. The developer, I believe, is here this evening to talk about this, give out a little bit of information about this, and then we'll, of course, take any public comments.
LGI?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jay Ross with LGI Homes, Minnesota Division, Minnesota LLC. And maybe if we can, is there the one exhibit that shows parcels?
That's the other tab.
Always like to have a picture. And then,
It's on the desktop. It should be that first, yeah. Nope. That one, yep.
all right.
So the green on this map is already previously annexed land that's undeveloped within city limits. And the blue that is on this map is what is being discussed.
Okay. Yeah, so LGI has bought several different parcels throughout the area from a local developer. And this is one of them. We haven't purchased this yet, but it's under contract. So the parcels are at the southern area, kind of surrounding the 2 blue parcels. There's 4 parcels right now of those green, kind of adjacent to the blue. There's 6 parcels highlighted in green. 4 of those are owned by the landowner that I mentioned, as well as the 2 shown in blue. The northernmost blue parcel that's presently in the township, in terms of development of those other parcels, that blue one kind of plays an important role because if you zoomed in there's a wetland right where the 2 parcels come together. So that blue parcel would allow a street connection from Highway 25 all the way to Clementa. Because if you notice the parcels that are the 49.53 acre parcel and then the 33.53 acre parcel, they're adjacent to each other, but they just touch by approximately 80 feet. So in terms of to get a road through that 80 feet, of course, that's right where there's a large wetland. So that blue parcel would allow the road to go on the north side of the wetland, not impact the wetland, and then connect from 25 to Clementa. So in a nutshell, yeah, there's the parcels that are under contract are the 4 parcels in green that are already within the city, as well as the 2 that are presently outside of the city limits. So this annexation proposal is to bring those 2 into the city limits, so that all parcels, would essentially be developable and could proceed with plat filings for those. So this, of course, is the first step, annexation. Then the 4 parcels that are already within the city are presently zoned for residential use already. The parcels that would be annexed, they would have to be rezoned, and then, of course, platting process for all parcels.
Do we have any questions for LGI right off the bat before we take public questions or comments?
How many homes do you plan to put in this area?
Well, if, including the 2 the 2 parcels that are proposed to be annexed, we're early in the stages. I don't know if I have the unit count, if we included the South 76. Yeah, give me a second here, please. So it would be total potential of somewhere in the 700 units.
Between all 8 parcels, or
Yeah,
just?
but between all 6 parcels. And of course, that doesn't happen overnight by any means. This is a big project for any community, and it's a big project for Montrose. So it would be a phased project, and but that has the potential based on that acreage.
Is this all adhering to our one zoning ordinances?
No, that unit count is based upon a variety of different housing types. R1s, that southern parcel along that creek there, the shoreland ordinance is wider lot requirements. I believe they're 120 or 125 foot width minimums for those areas along that creek. But then it's also lot sizes like in the 65 foot range, as well as some townhome capabilities. Based on that acreage, there's a lot of different types of residential uses.
So your intention is a PUD?
Yeah. Presently, it's a PUD, but yeah, it would be a PUD to incorporate different types of uses. And, a lot of that, that's based on market demand and in creating housing options for not just one type of person, but for the whole gamut of people, people's children when they buy their first homes, and retired individuals who don't want a multi-story home, that are looking for a single level home in a smaller lot, or maybe an association maintained property where they don't have to mow. So, you know, when you're talking that number of lots and that large of a project, just like a city has to, you know, cater to all different types of individuals and homeowners as well as renters, you know, this property is looking to cater to several different aspects of the population.
What would you say the percentage of homes out of your 700 would have setbacks that are this much between the homes?
None.
None.
I mean, I think you're.
Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm asking you, though.
Right.
Right? I mean,
You know,
what's your minimum setback between homes?
We're not at that stage because it's not it's not the PUD zoning for that.
But I think if you already can estimate that you're talking about 700 homes, you would have an idea of how many homes you're gonna put in a specific area and how much distance there's gonna be between the homes.
Yeah, I mean, setbacks would range from, you know, standard R1 setbacks, to, you know, in no case would there be setbacks less than 5 feet, you know, so minimum of 10 feet
feet.
between units. But there would be ranges.
Do we have any other questions for LGI right this moment? There's a variety. That's, yeah, townhomes, single family. I don't think we have any more questions for you right now. There may be from some of the residents that are here, so.
And, I mean, keep in mind, to everyone, we're in the early stages of a concept plan, so, you know, the details of what are the houses gonna look like and what color of siding there are, you know, that's way down the road, so.
If there's any comment from the public, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Mike Ketchmark, and my address is 8264 Clemente Avenue, Montrose, Woodland Township. You asked about questions directly for LGI. Can I ask those now? Or?
Sure.
Okay. And thanks for coming in, sir. Are you connected to the person that was at a Woodland Township meeting recently with putting on a proposal for this property to develop it?
How do you want to proceed with this? Do you want to take questions for the sake of efficiency and then address them, or just answer them as we go?
Well, the mayor just okayed me to ask you a question.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get an extra microphone out there. So I think it's probably easier just to answer them as we get moving along.
Okay. And so, that was a representative, I think who you're referring to as a representative of our engineering company.
Okay. And he had an idea with a number of homes for the 76 acres in blue, which I think is one of the two primary parcels that we're talking about tonight. Are you familiar with that?
You know, I can stand up.
I won't bite. You can stand closer if you want.
All right, I'm sorry, so there was an annexation proposal for the two properties that are shown in blue. So yes, one of those is the 76 acres, the southern portion, southern parcel there in blue is the 76 acre parcel, I think, that you're referring to.
So that person at that meeting was more specific on the number of homes that was being proposed on that 76 acres. Do you have knowledge of what that was?
On the southern portion, I think was like 130 on the southern portion.
I recall it as 104, but I was just wondering if that's consistent or if that had changed from the Woodland Township meeting to here. Was when a different person shows up with a proposal, I don't know who's connected to who. But, okay, so 104 to 130.
Yeah, somewhere, and there again, you know, early stages because it's concept at this time.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned an exhibit. Did you happen to bring a map of your own or a conceptual plan of the property?
Yes, I did.
Is that That happens to be mine, so I hope you're finding it useful, because it's, really helps depict for
Yeah.
the public and the council on the boundaries, but
Yep.
did you bring anything additional, or?
Yeah, and I did I mean, do we want to get into a concept review at this time?
I'm just asking, because it's
Yeah.
good to have all that information up front when you're gonna have a public hearing to, instead of piecemeal it and find out what exactly is the proposal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine, it's what the council, considering it's not a public hearing for a plat, public hearing for annexation, but if we want to look at a concept plan, I'm certainly,
Yeah, this meeting was for informational purposes about the annexation itself. Obviously, we're not reviewing the plat tonight, but we can have some questions about it, sure.
yeah. And I'm not trying to avoid anything, I'm just in terms of the course of a meeting for different purposes, I don't want to step on anyone's toes,
I'm
so.
just asking if there was information disclosed, I mean, I'd like to have access, for the public to see, but,
Okay.
if you have it, or if it's appropriate, I would like to look at it. LGI, are you connected to the LGI that's officed out of Texas?
Yeah, headquarters LGI is based out of Texas.
Okay. That's all the questions I had directly for you. Right now, I got comments as far as the public hearing for the council here. First, I'll reference the annexation, orderly annexation agreement that's dated 2004. Just a comment is that there's only one person serving on either the city council or Woodland Township that was part of this arrangement, and that's a Woodland Township Board Supervisor. Reading that over, it looks like that the city or township can choose to meet and go over this agreement at any time. To my knowledge, that hasn't happened. I would suggest that it does. There's some reference to money that's exchanged as far as performance bond and property owner paying so much an acre for annexation and that kind of thing. It also talks about that the city and township can meet to discuss water mitigation and if there's a need for an environmental assessment worksheet. So specific to this parcel of property, and I talked to the city administrator about this when I dropped the map off, but as far as the notification process for the future, the land out here is between 2.5 acres and over 200 acres. And to her credit, she expanded the radius to 500 feet. But the majority of folks here tonight, I would dare say, found out through word of mouth. And that's a consideration for the future. I live in the 8200 block of Clementa. This addition is proposed to end at the 8000 block. And I didn't get a notice about this. I happened to hear about it from the neighbor that shared that with me. But specific to this property, there's water that drains in from 80th Street. There's a ditch that angles through there from County 110 that flows through. And there's another ditch that drains a farmer's field in there where you can see the tile has been blown out for quite some time. So there is an interest in the water mitigation and what would need to be resolved there. I would hope that city and township would get together on that part. Again, thanks again for the opportunity tonight for the public hearing. As you can see, there's a lot of interest in this proposed annexation. I'd also like to talk about reference to the map here for those that aren't familiar. On the far left of the colored section, that's County Road 110. On the far east side, it's smaller print, but it's State Highway 25. So in my research, I find that there's currently over 593 acres that have been annexed into the city of Montrose that's currently not been developed. There's corn, beans, hay, noxious weeds, other things that are on the property. So there's a lot already in play that hasn't been developed, which I think is a consideration. And if you look at the middle of the screen, if you go above that blue and the green, you'll see a wide stretch from east to west that's not in the city. Now, the sewer and water plant that's been referenced tonight, another item that I've read about, should have upgrades to handle some substantial growth in the area would require $5 to $7 million. I don't know if people are familiar with it, but it's the northeast corner of that map. There's two dark spots. That's a water treatment plant. And if you follow that south, you could see there's a blank area that's not been annexed into the city. You have to figure easements or how you're going to run utilities, because that's kind of like Gilligan's Island down there. There's no city property connecting that to run utilities through. So that's a consideration. Also, all the annexed land, hundreds of acres that has not been developed. And in particular, I think we need to be good stewards of land that gets annexed in. Specific to that, if you go up to that 76-acre parcel north of the blue here on the left-hand side, it's the far top left corner, that's an abandoned farm. Noxious weeds every year. The city gets called, hey, can you have them cut? Empty farm buildings, used as a dumping ground. There's carpet, sheetrock, furniture being dumped there. It's in the city. That's a concern to area residents about annexed land that's not developed. Now, if you go a little further north, that's referenced, I think, the preserve tonight, but that is the acreage in the 2000 block of Highway 12. You're getting close there. You got half of it. Thank you. That's a concept plan potentially. I did a little checking, and that's concept plan has been in place since 2007. If you drive out there today, you see where some dead-end streets have been cut in, and furniture and carpet again being dumped there, weeds not being controlled or mitigated there. So hopefully this plan follows through. But I guess in closing, my recommendation would be for the city to look at taking care of the people, the property, the needed utilities that are in play now that you have before taking on some other potential annexation, of which that 76 acres in Wright County is classified as prime farm soil. We're not going to get any more of that. So I would ask that you consider that, consider what you have in place so far. It looks like this is kind of the opposite of orderly annexation and moving the opposite direction from kind of getting things wrapped together. But that's it. I'll yield my time to anyone else that would like to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dan Paulson. I live at 6824 Clementa Avenue Southwest. And if you look at the map up here, the northern blue section, I'm that little notch that's out of that southwest corner. I just built my house. I've been there just shy of a year. That's kind of where he was saying the road's going to go, wants the road to go from 25 over to Clementa. I have a problem, and I want the record to show it. Mr. Raisler's letter to the city of Montrose for the annexation request lists my address on the request letter.
Mm-hmm.
He's got no legal right to annex my property. 6824 is my address. And Mr. Raisler sold me that lot about a year and a half ago. So I'd like the record to show that his request letter is wrong. And I'm not in favor of having my property annexed. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tammy Serpernot, 734 7th Street North. And I understand this is about annexing property that will make a huge difference on LGI's being able to develop and put a road through and mess up your plans. I have to agree, it's not really a for me, I don't think it's a really great idea to annex property that we can't take care of when we're not taking care of. We have no way of providing water or water treatment for this area yet. 700 homes in this number of acreage is high density. I don't think we need that much high density, and I understand you have partial, low density, partial high density, but what we're talking about here is a lot of homes in a very small space, and then how do we take care of that? We already are in a situation where we can't take care of what we have. We can't provide for we've got more homes coming in right now, just off of 7th Street that are going to add to the issue. And I know they've already been counted, but they're still going to add to the issue. So I have to agree. I just am not sure that this is really great. And I understand this is huge for your investment, not being able to make that. But I really think this is a big mistake to annex this property at this point with so little knowledge.
Thank you.
Thanks. Do you have any more comments or questions?
I have one more comment. This is a statement for LGI Homes here. I asked the question about the connection to Woodland, Texas. Research shows that LGI Homes out of Texas, what city staff has also confirmed was where this company is based out of, has an F as in Frank rating with the Better Business Bureau. 145 complaints last 3 years, 59 complaints in the last 12 months. If I'm trying to get people in homes to come to the city of Montrose, I would do what I can. And I know there's probably limited consideration. The attorney would probably weigh in on what we can regulate on business doing business here. But we want good, credible companies also in good standing. And I didn't make this up. This is for anybody to look at. So I just wanted to leave that with you if you weren't aware of that. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Bonnie Salonik. I live at 1718 80th Street. I am the farmer at the end of 80th Street. I have a big concern about the 76 acres being annexed into the city. There's a DNR ditch that's over 2,500 feet that goes through there. And when there's torrential rains and everything, it really backs up and washes. And like Mike had said, the drain tiles has been blown out in that field. And when that DNR ditch comes, it comes under 80th Street, under my driveway. And it flows it keeps flowing south. And when there's rain, like a 3-inch rain, I will have lakeshore property because of that DNR ditch and how it's all backed up. We did clean out our part of the ditch. I'm part of it this summer just so that it, help alleviate that water that's coming in from different directions. Then it goes through the woods and then it eventually goes down to 25 and then I think out to the marsh or out to the whatever that wetland area is. So I did listen to a few your council meetings earlier where you were possibly talking about abandoning that road if it would get annexed in because the township would release that road. It's been a township road I've lived there 41 years. It is a hard road when it's blizzard and snow and the township brings in a payloader to push the snow out in certain areas. I am a widow. I can run a Bobcat, but that's a long driveway for me to clean out if it comes to that point. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony Colley, 124 Linden Avenue East, Winston, Minnesota. We're actually buying the house that is just south of that 76 acres. Grew up on a dairy farm. My wife grew up on a dairy farm. Currently living in Winsted, small town like Montrose. I guess I didn't sign a purchase agreement 2 weeks ago to be sitting next to 700 houses in the next 50, 60 years, as long as I live. So, if this would get annexed in, yeah, it'd be kind of a hard take. Just spent a lot of money on this house to be in the country, to get out of the city. So it'd be a hard hit. I don't know what we'd quite do if this all went through, but yeah, just want to give my opinion. So
Could you repeat your name?
Tony Colley. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Connie Salonik, and I live on 1837 80th Street, the house that he just purchased. And I truly would have never put that house for sale if I would have known something like this would happen. He's a young family coming in, and he obviously is moving from in town to out of town to be in the country. And I would have never, had no knowledge, but little whispers. The Woodland Township never contacted us or anything like that. So my heart is with him as a new family coming in. We're taking a new step out of the area, not to do this to an upcoming buyer into our house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments regarding this annexation? One more call. Any other questions or comments for the public hearing for the petition for annexation? Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the December 12th, 2022 public hearing, petition for annexation at 8:47 PM and reopen the city council meeting.
Oh, second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We're now back in our regular city council meeting. Is there any other further discussion we need on that, Jess?
No, so this was for residents' information and your information and something to think about through January, and then make a decision about allowing or denying the annexation in January.
Okay. There were 2 requests for open forum. However, they both did speak during the public hearing. Do either of you want to readdress the council for 3 minutes? Dick or Mike? No? Okay. Upcoming meetings. The planning and zoning meeting for December has been canceled. EDA meeting is set for Tuesday, December 20th at noon at City Hall. Park and Rec, Thursday, January 12th, 6:30 at Montrose City Hall. And the regular city council meeting is Monday, January 9th at 7 PM at the Montrose Community Center. Acknowledgements.
I'd like to acknowledge
Tom.
This is it.
Oh, this is it,
I'm
yeah.
gonna miss you, Tom.
If you don't know, this will be Tom's last official city council meeting.
Right,
He's retiring. Can we use that phrase?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. I just want to thank you for your time, your 4 years here, all the hard work you've done.
Appreciate it.
It's, yeah, it's definitely appreciated from us and the city in general.
Thank you.
Especially for you getting the EDA back up and going again, so.
Yeah, I wish we would have accomplished more in the last couple of years. But it wasn't for a lack of trying, you know.
A lot of head banging on businesses.
A lot of head
to
banging, yes.
Come into town, but, I mean, you revitalized the EDA, so, I mean, with your help and Shannon Sweeney, we have a game plan going forward, so.
Yeah.
I just wanted to reiterate again to thank Michael and city staff for all of the work that you guys did with the budget. So, I mean, it's, as Sam said earlier, maybe David even said it, I mean, it's no small feat to lower your city tax rate by nearly 4% in a year where inflation is out of control and the cost of everything is just skyrocketing. And to give a little bit of relief to the residents, the amount of work that you guys put in doing that and the numbers that you crunched, Michael, I mean, it's more than appreciated, so. And, you know, thanks for Public Works for, you know, getting out and doing all the streets and everything pretty quickly for all the last stuff, so, keep it up, more snow's coming, so. Any other acknowledgements?
Yeah, guess I'm gonna miss Tom. He'll be missed.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Andrioff?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Mr. Marslick?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, we're adjourned.